All right, it's your boy Mixmaster B here live from the MMB Radio Studios for the MMB Radio Podcast, where no topic is too big or too small. We talk about them all. And on the phone lines right now, I have an adult model. She's just been in magazines. She's done movies. She is on the come up right now in the porn game. Miss Tylo Duran, how are you?
Hey, I'm great. How are you?
Doing awesome tonight. Thank you for calling in and talking to us a little bit. And, like I said, you are... I guess the first thing I mentioned is you're an adult model. I'm assuming that probably came first before acting and more porn and kind of take us through that.
Actually, I started out doing Venus and Hawaiian Tropics, beauty pageants. Actually, that was kind of the circuit that I started out with. And I guess really even before that, truth be told, the blame it on my parents. They had me in tap, jazz, and ballet, so always had a bit of the acting and spotlight bug.
I thought you were going to go ahead and say you blame it on your parents because they had porn laying around the house or something.
Right.
I was like, oh, wow, she's going right into it. I blame it on my parents. They had porn around the house, and,
Yeah.
So they had you doing, I guess all kinds of different pageants and everything, and then what led to getting more into the provocative stuff, more of the adult material?
I guess, again, because I, from coming out of, jazz, tap, and ballet, and just, performing, having recitals at the end of every year and performing in front of hundreds of people, and spotlight audiences, large crowds, never bothered me. And then I started doing the pageant circuit as far as swimsuit, fitness, things like that. And again, it was just if you want to say one building block upon another or stepping stone, I would just kind of branched out further and further. And then when I graduated from high school, I had a friend of mine that was working in a gentleman's club, just waitressing. And she was like, you need to come and work with me. And little side note, we were both private school girls, so we grew up in private school.
You already knew what was going to happen there.
I didn't know I was going to see as many people as I ended up seeing, but at the time it was okay because I was waitressing, so I was still fairly close. But it was the money was so crazy, ridiculously good, that I remember I just had literally piles of money in my room, and I was still living at home. My mom would come in and she would just look at the floor and she'd be like, are you dealing drugs? I'm like, no, that's what I made the last couple of nights. And I mean, it was thousands of dollars. So I mean, I was rolling hard and living large, and it was really easy to do because I was socking it away while I'm living at home. And then the same best girlfriend from going to private school together, she got out of waitressing and she went into dancing, and she's like, remember all that money we used to make, working 7-8 hours? She's like, you could make that in hour and a half just dancing. And I was like, no, get out of here. She's like, yeah. She said, come try it with me. So I did. So it was just one thing led, it was a slow progression, if you will.
So she she took you through all the steps of it. She kind of just was your gateway.
She was my gateway drug. Exactly. she was my enabler. She was my crutch. She was my pimp. and then she got out of it.
But you stayed in.
And I stayed in, but I went further. I mean, everybody has their own path, and you do whatever, is comfortable for you and take it to wherever you can take it to. And I just saw that I was able to maximize in lots of different ways. So I still started or continued doing different modeling. And then I started traveling as far as different gentlemen's clubs. And then I got into the featuring, and then that just took me even several steps higher because I'm now, meeting people like Ron Jeremy and traveling and touring with Kid Rock. I was one of his girls for his American Badass tour. So I'm doing, and I'm meeting people like that, and I'm meeting Mickey Rourke and dating him for a good spell, and so it's just like, it just natural progression. Like every door I went through, never knew what or who was going to be on the other end or the other side, and where that next potential opportunity could take me or lead me. So
let's back up a little bit there. You mentioned that you were dating Mickey Rourke.
Yeah,
what was that
it's funny.
like?
It was actually really awesome. He's a real super cool guy. It's funny because I was up in Philly and I was working in a club. A friend of mine knew I was a feature, and I wasn't really featuring at the time, so I had open door policy with this club. And so we went to the Alhambra Center, and that's where all of the great wrestlers go and pay their dues before they become great wrestlers. Like Ricky the Steamboat Dragon, Ric Flair, I believe even like maybe even Stone Cold. They all start there, and then they work their way up and go, through the ranks and stuff like that. Well, he just so happened to be in town, and he was in the beginning stages of shooting The Wrestler. So we went and we did what they call like promo. So we were, walking around and passing out cards, to get into the club and things like that. A few of the girls that worked there and myself. And then we came back to the club, and I was in VIP, and here comes Mickey Rourke and his entourage. And then I sat with him. He actually called me over, and so we sat for a bit, and we were just talking, and next thing I know, he wants to put me in his movie, The Wrestler, and he happened to be at the same place that we were that night. We just didn't see each other, and so just one thing led to another. And it's just happenstance, things like that for me happen. It's like, sounds crazy for other people, but if you're in the industry, you understand, because you meet so many different people and so many people that know people, and it's just a huge networking thing. So
now, did he keep his word? Were you an extra or a feature?
I was. I was in his movie, The Wrestler. I absolutely was. I went back up there a couple months later, and I was put in the movie. He tried to create a part for me, but the director, they weren't able to do it. He really was trying to find any way to make a role for me, but I just ended up being like an extra.
So you guys were you dating? Was it like a committed relationship for a while, or were we just kind of just like for shits and giggles, just kind of hanging out?
Yeah, we were hanging out. He was always traveling, I was always traveling, and we would try to get up together when we could. So it was good. It was good while it was good.
Did you have any kind of sexual relations with Mickey Rourke, or?
I never kiss and tell.
I'll take that as yes then. Okay.
You can take it however you want it. I didn't confirm. I didn't deny. You can't quote me on that.
And we're always trying to get the scoops here on MMB Radio, So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Hey, I can't blame you. I can't blame you, but I gotta save some stuff for my book, so I can't tell everything.
So, how did you? You're now venturing into the porn industry, like pornographic film, and how did you get into that realm? I mean, we've already seen how you kind of went from waitress to dancer to feature dancer to relationship with Mickey Rourke to now getting into the porn field. So, how did that come about?
Actually, I know a lot of people that have transitioned over from porn into the other end of into the featuring. So it's like it's a big crossover. Like some people from featuring go into porn, some people from porn cross over into featuring. So I see a lot of these people at different conventions and things like that. It's always interested me, and mostly I've started doing like girl. I haven't branched out any further than that, and it's just something to where I've so far I like it. I don't have a ton of experience in it as of yet, So all I can say for what I've done so far has been good. Haven't had any problems or setbacks or pitfalls, really.
Now, are you open-minded towards doing more stuff, or are you just kind of content with going girl, like, or are you?
For right now, girl
okay.
is what I'm most comfortable with.
And would you? But I mean, are you open to the idea of doing more hardcore stuff with guys, or you just?
If I feel like maybe it needs to go that route, but for now, I don't think you have to do everything and put everything out there right away. For me, I like to enter into things slowly, and see where it goes. If I can stay where I'm at and maximize on that while I'm featuring as well, then it's all good.
We gotta find your best friend again and get her to convince
I
you.
know, my enabler.
Your enabler. Remember we did the dancing and we did the waitressing
right.
and all
Yeah,
that money you made in 2 hours, you can make 10 times that now.
I know, and I think you owe me, Chica, so come on board.
So kind of take us back to the very beginning. Where are you originally from?
Originally, I'm from Silver Springs, Maryland. I still live on the East Coast. East Coast is home for me. Love East Coast. But I travel all over, so pretty much, anywhere I'm at, especially with featuring, is my home for X amount of time.
And what was life like at home? I mean, you said you were private schooled and everything.
Yeah.
When did you kind of was all this like exhibitionist lifestyle just kind of built up inside you that you decided one day that this is really what I want to do, or like did you always have that side?
I've always been an extrovert. Like I said, like anytime I was out, people would always come up to my mom and say, "Oh, what a beautiful daughter you have," or she should be on film, or I've got this thing coming up. It's like a child's modeling, like catwalk type of thing. Could she participate? So I've always been an extrovert. I mean, I was always in plays, and I was just always going up to people and just talking to them, strangers, which I wouldn't suggest any child doing anything like that now. But, it's just, that was just me. I was just very outgoing. I'm still very outgoing. I always see the glass is more full than half empty. So.
Did you watch a lot of porn growing up?
No, I never really did. And even to this day, I don't really watch it. Mostly because I know so many people, and it's like, it's one thing if we're on set together, there's a job, and I can compartmentalize it and do what needs to be done and move on. But the finished product, like, I don't really care to see. I mean, I know what it's about. I know what we did, but then I think, like, oh, that's one of my good friends. I don't know if I really want to see them like that, even though I just did. It's a little, I don't know. For me, that's a little weird. But
now, you mentioned you're outgoing as a child.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming into your teenage years and everything. Did you have a lot of boyfriends in high school?
I had a lot of guys that wanted to be my boyfriend, but I was really particular on who I dated. I had a lot more guy friends, just regular guy friends, than I did female friends. And the females that were my friend, we were more alike, very similar in the way of thinking and acting, and I was very much a tomboy too. Like, I was one of two girls on an all-boys soccer team, grew up surfing, horseback riding. So, I mean, yeah, I was always like in a spotlight of some kind in front of people, always doing some kind of exhibition sport, if you will. So, I mean, showing off, is like breathing to me. It's not, I don't even, it's second nature. I don't even know that I'm doing it a lot of times because I've just always been, very animated, I guess, and always in front of people and just outgoing.
So you had a lot of guys that wanted to be your boyfriend, but you mentioned that you had a lot of guy friends. Or a lot of these guy friends with benefits, or like how many of these guys like really did you hook up with, or were they kind of like more like a brother type?
Most of my guy friends are like my brothers. They probably wanted more, but they maybe settled for just like, okay, we'll be your brother.
So what time?
Go
ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, at what age did you end up losing your virginity? Was it which one of these guys actually, broke the glass ceiling and got the
well? That one is a bit of a touchy subject because my virginity actually wasn't. I wasn't a willing participant as far as when I was looking to give it up. So that's kind of a touchy subject as far as that goes. So I should have. I was when I decided to have sex. I was older versus when it was taken from me.
Now, when you say, is it like forceful or?
Yeah, I was raped.
Okay, and what? It was a person, obviously you probably knew.
Yeah, it was really really messed up.
And did you? I mean, you okay with talking?
Yeah. I mean, it's not something that obviously I go around, talking about every day, but I mean, it's been such a long time ago. It doesn't really bother me. The only thing that bothers me is some people that might be listening to this later on might be like, oh, well, that's why she chose the path that she chose. No, that's not.
That's why I'm asking, like, are you cool with talking about this? Because I don't want anybody to misinterpret that and think that, she's jaded. This is why she does what she does because
sure.
of her
yeah,
experience.
But you're going to have people that are going to think that regardless. You know what I mean?
Whatever the hell they want to think anyway.
Absolutely. But I mean, I'm fine talking about it.
So this was a one of these guy friends, or was it just a guy that you knew?
No, the thing about it was so messed up is my mom was going through a divorce and she had sought counsel. And she thought it would be good for me to go and talk to this person if I had any, conflicts and unresolved feelings, that it would help me. And lo and behold, this guy ended up helping himself. So that was really screwed up because, this is a person that is an authority figure who is in a situation to be of service to other people in a counselor position and goes and does something, as diabolical as that and preys on somebody who's, very young.
Now, was he a lot older than you?
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, I was like 8. He was, he may as well have been a million, in my eyes, because he was considerably older. He had almost grown children.
So you could have been like almost a grandchild.
Yeah.
To him. And did you report it or anything?
Oh yeah. At first, I kind of felt like maybe it was my fault, and I just think that's something. Having heard other stories over the years about sexual predators and how they prey on young, people, that they always feel like the victim always feels like somehow maybe it was their fault. So I was a little scared at first to say anything, but I just knew, like, in my heart that I needed to, that there was something seriously, this was a sick individual, and if they've done it to me, they would do this to somebody else, or they have done this to somebody else, and, it needed to be stopped. And in whatever capacity I could be a voice and get this out there, I was going to do it, and I was going to take a chance. So I went to my mom, and I told her, and I remember saying, don't look at me. I've got something to tell you, and I hope you don't think it's my fault. And so I told her, and she was shocked, and I thought at first she was angry with me or upset with me in some way, and she wasn't. because she came out, right away and said, don't worry, we'll get this taken care of. So long story short, we got it taken care of. And so he was definitely, the authorities dealt with him.
Is he currently incarcerated now, or?
It's been such a long time ago. I don't know if he is still, or how long he was. He was a military chaplain, so he definitely was dealt with. I do remember that. He was relieved of his rank. He was demoted, stripped of all and every title, stripe that he had. And other than that, I'm not sure how long he was sentenced, because there were certain things that I wasn't privy to, and probably because due to the nature of how young I was and how much I'd already been through, and so my family was definitely trying to protect me.
So, after going through something like this,
yeah,
did you seek therapy afterwards? Like, were you even thinking about trying to see any other authority figures to talk to anybody after?
Right. Yeah. No, the therapy, that was, I did. I went through therapy for a while, and it was kind of a joke and I think because of the time that this happened in, like, a lot of these things weren't as prevalent and talked about as much as they are now. So I don't know if therapists, or maybe I just had a real crappy therapist, were, enabled or equipped to deal with that, with that kind of, stuff. So I went to therapy. I had been going for a while, and it truly wasn't helping at all, and ended up changing therapists, and it was still in the same practice, and it was just, it actually made things worse than it did help. So my family decided to intervene, and so I didn't have to go to therapy anymore because it just really, it wasn't helping.
Now, obviously, everybody is affected and goes through this in a different type of way. How long did it take you before you were able to, feel some kind of normalcy again? And have you fully gotten to that point, or is it something that still kind of haunts you? It doesn't really haunt me. I don't know if you ever truly fully recover from something like that. It's kind of like, for lack of a better word, it's like a train wreck, and you can put pieces of the train back together, but when something like that happens to you and you're at such a tender age and it's a traumatic thing, I think the mind and the body and the soul, they compensate, and they kind of build a fortress up around you, and you're not blinded, but you protect yourself in certain ways, to whether you keep yourself a distance from people, you only allow certain people to get so close, and others can only get as close as you allow them or you want them to get to you. So I think you cope. The body and the mind are great because you learn to deal and you learn to move on, and certain things probably do manifest from instances like that, into other things, whether it's behavioral, sexual, which is behavioral, or, your attitude, or, whatever it is. But I've always been a strong person, so I just, I deal with things as they happen, and then I,
put the pieces back together and move on. You know.
You mentioned that people are going to say, well, this is why she got into this field. This is why she does what she does. And we've already both agreed on, you know, forget what people have to say, because people are going to be assholes and people are going to make their own assumptions and say what they want to say, and there's not much you can do or say to combat that.
Right.
But with that being said, having gone through what you've been through, how did it, getting into the field that you're in, was that weird for you? Or, I mean, you can kind of see where people are coming up with this assumption from. Like, how do you, if you had to, how do you kind of disperse that?
You know, I live my life for me, so what anybody else says or has to say or think or cast an opinion, that's on them, because you're only gonna you know what you think you know, or you see what I allow you to see, and you know that's and you know you can make your own assumption, and you can think that you know everything about somebody, but unless you get to know somebody, or you spend 5 minutes with somebody, you still don't really know them, but you have a little bit of better grasp, as and maybe some insight as to what they are and what they're about. But I don't live my life for other people. I live my life for me, and I do what I feel is right, and nobody else, you know, is paying my bills. I'm paying my bills, so it doesn't really matter what anybody thinks.
Now, because like I say, going through what you've been through, and have you had any kind of flashbacks when you're doing any of your kind of work that you're doing, or
no,
or
because
it's just kind of separated?
It's definitely separated, because for me, it's like acting, and that's really what it is. Whether I'm on stage featuring, I'm performing, it's a performance, or you know I'm on set with somebody, it's still acting. There's lines, there's things that you know you have to remember to do. There's placement of where you need to be. So it's acting. To me, it's really not any different. The only difference between, as far as maybe porn and Hollywood, is that the sex is actual, it's not implied. But there's still acting, and it's still acting involved. You're still a character, and once the job is done, the job is done. You know, I don't know too many people where they live their life just as what they just came off a set. You know, you're supposed to be multifaceted. You're a multidimensional person, and I know for me that's how I am. So when I approach a project, no matter what kind of project it is, whether it's getting ready to do a photo shoot, you know, I approach it as this is a job. I'm a character. You know, this is what the director wants. This is what the photographer wants. I'm setting up my show. This is what my show is about. And when I leave the stage, when I leave the set, when I leave the shoot, that stays there. And Tylo goes on. You know, it's not to say that, you know, it's not deceptive. It's just, it's a character. We're all characters, and we're paid performance actors is what we are.
Now, is that one of the reasons why you're a little hesitant to going into doing guy-girl porn, or does that have nothing to do with it?
I just, for me, for right now, I just don't feel that I need to go over and do boy-girl. Girl suits me. It's where I'm comfortable at. And again, I just don't really feel like, for me, for right now, I might change my mind. But for me, for right now, that's where it works for me. At some point in time, I might need to, you know, change things up. And if that's where I'm comfortable at that point in time, and that's where I decide that that's what I want to do, then I will. But I'm not going to do something because somebody says, oh, you're not going to get any further unless you do X, Y, Z. You know, once I feel like my creativity is taken from me and I'm being dictated to, then that's where I draw the line. I'm not going to go beyond my comfort level to suit somebody else or to make more money, because then, in my opinion, for me, and I'm only speaking for me, that's when you sell out, is when you allow people to push you in directions that you're not comfortable in going.
Now, what's it like working with women? I mean, or do you consider yourself to be bisexual, or is it just, again, playing a character?
No, I like females. The female form is beautiful, you know, but no, I'm not necessarily. I wouldn't say that I'm bisexual. I just, I don't know. I don't have a problem working with females. I get along. Surprisingly, I'm kind of surprised because I kind of thought that I wouldn't, but I do. I get along with the people that I've worked with. I've gotten along very well.
And when you say you're not bisexual, does that just mean that you're okay with doing it on film, but you just wouldn't date outside of the business?
Oh, I don't. Maybe if I met somebody that I clicked with, but you know, for the most part, I wouldn't classify myself as bisexual. I wouldn't say that I'm bi-curious. I would just say I'm a sexual person.
Okay.
So.
And what is your dating life like?
It is very difficult because I'm on the road so much.
Yeah, is it hard to find guys that are okay with what you do, or?
It's hard to find an individual that has as much going on in their life as you do in yours, and that they are comfortable within their own skin. That's what's difficult. That's the difficulty, is finding somebody that is equally as ambitious as you are and has their own stuff going on and not wanting to ride your coattails. And of course, being on the road makes any relationship difficult. I wouldn't, whether you're doing this or you're in sales for a pharmaceutical company or you do something that requires you to travel, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks out of every month. I mean, that puts a strain on any relationship. But I feel that you find somebody that is equally driven as yourself and has as much of their own interests and hobbies going on, that makes it easier, because a lot of times I feel people morph into each other where they were two separate individuals and that was the attraction, and then all of a sudden now they look like twins, and that's not the way it's supposed to be. You have your projects, you have your things, you should keep it like that. I have my projects, I have my things, and I'm going to keep it like that. And when we're together, let's be together and let's let it be great. We're together, we're not twins.
Now, what do you still want to get out of the business? I mean, or how much longer do you see yourself in it, and what do you want to get out of it still? I probably have a few more years. I could probably push it further if I wanted to, and who knows, I might. But I'm going to try my hand at going behind the camera. I've been in front of the camera, in lots of different ways, and I think I would like to try my hand behind the camera and see about directing. Now, how active are you on social medias? Are you interactive with fans and?
Oh yeah. I'm on my social media like every day. I'm always like tweeting something or interacting or responding to somebody. So I love that. I love interacting with my fans and, just meeting new people, whether it's on social media or out somewhere on the road or at a convention or an expo.
Now, are you where can people find you at on these social medias? Are you Twitter, Instagram?
Yes, I am at Tylo_Duran for Twitter, and Instagram is Tylo.Duran, and Tylo Duran Facebook.
So people can interact with you, and do people, what is some of the weirdest questions that people ask you? I'm sure people, ask you or, say crazy comments to you. What's some of the crazy things you hear all the time on Twitter?
It's not so much the comments as it is the dick pics.
Everybody says dick pics. Is this a common problem here?
It is. I think the majority of men in America think that their penis is the be-all, end-all, like they have the magic one. And some of them are nice. Some of them are impressive. A lot of them, you should not be posting your penis. If your penis looks like the number 7, you probably shouldn't post it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, they send you these dick pics and everything, and are you the type that you quickly block these people, or you kind of tolerate them?
Some of them, after I have a good laugh and catch my breath, then I block them because I know what a penis looks like, and I'm quite sure most females do. I'm not really sure if some of the people posting the pictures of the penises really know what they're sending, and again, you should stop, please.
So if you want to be continued to...
Yes, if you want to be a friend, if you want to be considered a friend, or yes, be allowed to continue to follow, I will say the majority of us do not send dick pics, please.
So if you do not want to get blocked, do not send dick pics to her.
Yeah, if you don't want to be cock blocked, don't send dick pics.
That's a good one, literally cock blocked. You will be cock blocked.
You will literally be cock blocked.
Now, what do you like to do for fun? What are your habits do you have? Things that I love traveling. I go to Formula One, I go to Kentucky Derby, I go to Hawaii. I just like to travel. I like to do things that are fun, things that a lot of people just don't get a chance to do. I like to take advantage of any and every opportunity I can. Where's one place you would like to travel to?
Let's see here. I would like to go on a safari in Africa. And the only reason why I haven't is because you have to get 13 or it's between 13 or 20 some inoculations before you can be deemed safe to go. And I don't like needles, so I'm still building up to actually committing to do that.
Now, do you have any secret talents? Do you do anything that people would be surprised to hear that you're into or you can do?
I am an amazing cook. I love to cook on my downtime. I cook from scratch. I'm part Italian, so I'm a really good cook. And I'm not just saying that. If I had people here to vouch for me, they would say she's a really good cook.
What is your go-to dish? What are you the best at cooking?
Let's see. Yeah, it's kind of hard to say because I'm really good at cooking a lot of things. I would say chicken satay with a homemade peanut sauce. Okay. Yeah, I like to cook Thai. I cook Thai well.
Okay, so that's what you're throwing down in the kitchen. If you're you're trying to impress somebody, that's what you're going to throw down to make.
That or a limoncello pancetta wrapped shrimp.
Very good.
With
very good.
Some capers.
Well, it was really cool talking to you tonight. Is there anything you want the fans to know before you leave? Any last words for them? Anything you would like them to know?
Follow me often. See where my crazy life ends up, where I'm at. Come see me. Come say hey. Like I said, I'm on Twitter at Tylo_Duran, and Instagram is Tylo.Duran, and Tylo Duran Facebook, and I am underway of having another website up. So I had a website, it's down, and I'm in the process of building another one. And I hope to see as many of my fans and make new fans and new friends when I'm out on the road.
Very awesome. Well, we appreciate you taking some time to talk to us and sharing your story with us. I know it's not something that everybody is willing to talk about, but we really appreciate you kind of
thank you for having me on the show. Thank you so much for having me on the show. And yeah, it's not exactly where I thought the interview was going to go myself, but it's all good. If it helps somebody, then that's where it's at, and that's awesome.
Well, we appreciate you again, and we hope to hear and see and enjoy more upcoming projects from you in the future.
Great, thank you.
Not a problem. Take care.
All right, you too. Bye-bye. Hey, this is Tylo Duran. I am an adult magazine model, actress, and rising porn starlet, and you're listening to MMB Radio.